Welcome to day 2, the Winter NAMM show, the QSC booth here, Winter NAMM 2015. Our third guest artist, our K for Musician artist, real special gentleman joining us this afternoon. And let's just go. Our next K for Musician guest is Mr. Thomas Lang.
Thank you guys.
Who is a native of Vienna, Austria, and a man who's been drumming since the age of 5. In addition to years of private lessons, Thomas was formally educated at the prestigious Conservatory of Music in Vienna. And after leaving Vienna for London in 1990, Thomas started working his way through the global music scene, and over the years has played with here's another one, a virtual who's who of musical artists, including Tina Turner, Robbie Williams, George Michael, Bonnie Tyler, Jerry Halliwell, Emma Bunton, Victoria Beckham of the Spice Girls, and countless others. Thomas has headlined every major international drum festival, and he's written and produced a string of solo albums for himself as well as for a number of other musical artists. He's a seasoned educator, a clinician, and in 2007, Thomas launched his drumming boot camps, which we'll hear a little bit about, and has since taken his award-winning drum camps to 15 different countries. Frequent guest lecturer at universities, drum seminars, camps, owner of the Thomas Lang Los Angeles Private Drum Academy, where he teaches a one-year ultra-intense drumming course for a group of talented young musicians. And we can go on, but you're not here to listen to me. Again, we're here. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Mr. Thomas Lang.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thomas, first of all, welcome to the QSC stage here, Winter NAMM 2015. Glad you could join us.
Thank you.
And, you know, we haven't seen you at the QSC booth. Is this your first day at the show? Were you here yesterday? Any thoughts?
I was here yesterday, just cruising and seeing what's new. But it's my first time at the QSC booth, and it's a real pleasure and honor. I love the gear. I love the speakers. I got my first pair of K10s very recently, and I absolutely love them. I use them every day. And yes, my first time here.
All right, well,
liking it very much.
We'll talk about how you're using your K10s in a little bit, but is there anything that you sort of look forward to when you come to the NAMM show every year?
Yeah, you know, it's a great hang, as you all know. you bump into so many good friends and amazing musicians all over the place, and you can't turn anywhere without bumping into somebody you know or somebody you admire. So it's always a really great ride to be here. It's a little hectic and a little nuts, but you know, we're all here for the same circus. And that's what NAMM is. It's a big party, you know, and I love it. Yeah.
We all love it, I think.
We
it's
all
fair
love
to
it,
say.
yeah.
Fair to say, everybody out there.
It sucks the life out of you, but you love it, right?
A lot of nodding heads out there. Let's talk a little bit about some of your early days and how you got into playing drums. Was it something that were you sort of encouraged to get into music? Was it something that you sort of found naturally? Tell us a little bit about that.
You know, I think my sort of introduction to music, or drumming specifically, was a really natural one. I saw a drummer on television, and it totally turned me on. And I bugged my mother to buy me a drum set immediately. And coincidentally, at around that same time, because drums were on my radar, I saw a band perform live, and I walked up to the drum set, and I was 4, and I held on to the hoop of the kick drum from the front, and it just literally blew me away. It really touched me. And just the power and the big drums and the shiny chrome and the volume, it was like, I was hooked immediately. And yeah, and I bugged my mom, and she in fact got me lessons, thinking that would totally turn me off immediately, you know. But I had a great teacher, and at age 5 I was already, you know, taking lessons and learning to read music, and my mother made me play a real instrument too, so I had to play piano at the same time. You know, I quit piano after about 10 years, but kept up the drumming. And you know, I was bitten by the drum bug that early, and still infected.
Was she a little more supportive of your piano?
Yes,
over the
more.
drums?
Well, no. You know, they just wanted me to play another instrument, or melodic instrument as well, which you know, in the long run, obviously helped me a lot with producing and writing music, etc. But no, as soon as they saw that I found my passion with drumming, my mother was extremely supportive.
Okay, so those early days when you were honing both crafts, was there one that you sort of, did you favor drumming a little bit more, or were
Always.
you sort of giving, okay.
And I still do, yes. Yes, there's nothing cooler. Come on, clarinet? Nah. Any instrument you stick in your mouth? Nah. No.
It's a
Violin?
clean show, it's a family
I
show,
don't think
Thomas.
So. Drums are the coolest by far.
Okay. So, when did you know that, hey, this is what I want to do for a living? This is my passion. I want to be a professional. When did that happen? How old were you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, as soon as I found out that there was actually such a job, you know, being a musician, I decided that was the job for me. So I was probably around 12-ish, and I realized that this is a valid choice, and you can actually become a professional musician or a composer or writer, whatever. At that point, I decided that's my thing. I found nothing to this day that excites me more, you know, and is more fun for me, and where I can actually, you know, live my passion and turn my passion into my profession. And as soon as I found out, that was it. I studied music, and you know, I started studying very early. At 13, I was at the Conservatory of Music in Vienna, and I had great teachers throughout my whole, you know, studying career, if you like. Really great inspirational teachers, and went to the Conservatory of Music and Music Academy in Vienna, and had a lot of private lessons, and a really, I think, pretty decent education musically. And as soon as I left school, I went on the road, you know, and started working professionally.
Okay. You know, at some point, you know, everybody's looking for that first big break. Earlier, we heard Omar tell us about playing with Patti LaBelle as his big break, and Daryl Jones, when he was here, he talked about, you know, getting the call with Miles. Was there a point in your career early on where you said, wow, I think I've arrived, this is my big break? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my big break wasn't Miles or Patti LaBelle. Mine was Falco. I don't know if you remember that. He had a huge hit in the 80s, Rock Me Amadeus, yeah. So as soon as and he happened to be a friend of mine in Vienna, you know, a bass player who started writing songs that became hugely popular. And my introduction to the world of music was literally at the very, very top, because we were #1 for like 4 months here in the States with Rock Me Amadeus. So I entered the industry at the very, very top. There's no bigger act in the world at the time, and I happened to be in that at 18. Yeah, so And it's been all the way downhill from there. You know, so no, I started literally at the very, very top, and it was the 80s. So it was a huge circus. It was absolute mayhem, and a lot of money was made at the time. You know, people bought actual vinyl records still, and the industry was very healthy at the time. We toured all over the world, and it was a huge, you know, revelation for me that this is how, you know, the industry works, and this is, and I took that for granted. I thought, you know, 30,000 people show up every night anywhere you play, pretty much. But I quickly learned that that's not the case.
Well, so let's. I'm curious a little bit about the piano playing days. If we go back to that, you said it's been very helpful with some of the writing that you do, the producing that you are involved with. Do you still spend time working on your piano skills?
No, I should, but I don't. I stopped practicing, like I said, you know, a long, long time ago. I use it to write mainly, and I'm not the great virtuoso on the piano at all. I play bass also, and I tour on bass sometimes, and I use it for writing mainly, okay. And I'm also a terrible guitar player, but it's okay in the studio.
It's okay.
You know, the drumming and all things percussion and drums have become my real thing, where I invest most of my time practicing and playing. And piano or bass and guitar also. More piano and guitar are sort of instruments I use to write mainly, and I enjoy playing bass very much. And like I said, I've done it on tour, and you know, I've had the pleasure to play with a lot of great drummers also, you know, playing bass. But no, I don't practice enough at all. Not even drums, unfortunately. But I should. Yeah.
Well, we certainly couldn't tell.
Oh, well, thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about your experience with QSC, how you came to discover QSC products, how you're using. So let's start out with, how did you discover QSC products?
Well, QSC has a very close relationship with Roland drums, and Roland have been using QSC speakers for years in various situations and trade shows and other events, and it was the first time that I really, you know, I usually use in-ears performing live, but with the QSC amps, I feel like, and speakers, I feel like there's no need for that. It's a really nice, organic, natural sound, and at various events over the years performing for Roland, I've noticed that there's just a really comfortable sound, and I tried to figure out why, what's so different today. And it was always whenever we had QSC speakers on stage and monitors on stage, I just really started enjoying the sound, and then did some research and found out more about you guys.
Okay, so and for those of you who don't know, Thomas is actually your fairly new K for Musicians artist with us. So again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about how your rig was before, or how the sound was before. What was your rig before you started using K Series?
I used actually Roland speakers with the V drums before, and the PM30, which is a Roland speaker system designed for the V drums, and of course I use a lot of in-ears when I perform live. But I'm sure you all know, especially with electronic drums, in-ears don't always work really well, because the drums are very silent, and usually the in-ears are best in a situation where what you're playing is extremely loud to protect your hearing, of course, and also give you a good mix at the same time. With the V-drums, that's not necessary, because they're very quiet. So, you know, I prefer playing V-drums with speakers rather than in-ears. And again, the PM30, you know, a good speaker system for the Roland V-drums, along with the satellites that they come with, but still has more mid-frequency than I really enjoy in a speaker on stage, and more of a sort of MIDI, slightly nasal sound. And with the K10s, I get a really nice, clean, natural sound with nice, you know, silky but precise top end, which is important for attack on the drums specifically, and also really good low-end punch.
And K10s is, do you have subs that you go along with it? Or
no, I just use the K10s without subs. So that's enough low end for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. You got time to give us
absolutely
something else? So
yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, once again, Mr. Thomas Lang.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna play I'm playing the V drum, the TD30 KV kit today, and I'm gonna just step through some sounds here and let you hear the kit through the QSC speakers with different configurations and different sounds on the kits. This is just a very natural studio. Nice low end.
Very nice. At my house, I have a drum set. If I came to your clinic, could you teach me to do all that?
Absolutely. If you have about 30 to 45 minutes, no problem.
Let's talk a little bit about your drum clinics. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with that stuff and
with the camp specifically? Yeah. Well, I started this thing called the Thomas Lang Drumming Boot Camp a few years ago because I found that there was a high demand for artist-hosted educational events that aren't clinics, that aren't just advertising events. But so, I started, when social media came up, people started following me and knew I was in, say, Stockholm and I had a day off, and they said, hey, I see you're in Stockholm, can you take a lesson? Yeah, so you're one of them. So I started, teaching whenever I was, wherever in the world, and had some time off. And eventually that became a lot, a very chaotic, and I started organizing it and giving it a name and making a website, etc. So it's now called the Thomas Lang Drumming Boot Camp. We've done more than 80 camps worldwide, globally, everywhere from Tokyo to Singapore, Moscow, New York, LA, Paris, you name it. And it's a very, very intense camp. I limit the amount of students to about 25. So it's like a small classroom, and I can work with everybody specifically. Everybody has a drum practice pad kit. So they're all playing with me. I am actually conducting and designing exercises specifically for the camp that are really sort of intense workouts that everybody has to follow. And it's a ball. We play for 8 hours a day, and that for 3 days minimum. And it's a killer workout.
Nice.
So it's a very intense, but very dynamic and fun camp, and it's a great hang too. And if you're interested, go to www.thomaslangdrumcamp.com or to www.muso-mart.com to find out when the next camps are.
Sounds good. We're almost out of time, but what are some of the other things you're working on right now? Anything you want to share with all of us?
Yeah, I do a lot of sessions from my studio here in LA. I do a lot of remote sessions and online sessions. People send me files, and I record in my studio. And I am doing, I'm working with a band called Purposeful Porpoise here in LA. It's a progressive band. I'm working with a band called Spark 7 out of Japan. Also a very progressive sort of metal band. And again, doing a lot of the camps. We're hosting a big event in the summer called the Big Drum Bonanza here in Los Angeles, which is a drum festival and / camp. And yeah, that's it, keeping busy.
Sounds good. So again, we appreciate you stopping by the QSC stage, Club QSC at Winter NAMM 2015. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
And as Thomas said, for all things, for all everything you'd want to know about Thomas Lang, be sure to check out his website at thomaslangdrummer.com. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And anything else you want to add?
Bon voyage at NAMM 2015. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once again for Mr. Thomas Lang.
Thank you. Thank you very much.